you should be able to record.
All right, so now we're able to record. Thank you so much.
And I just need to share my screen.
Awesome.
I guess, can you see my screen now or no?
Not yet, no.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm usually a little better with Zoom than this.
No, it's okay.
Share screen. And it's the thank you campaign PowerPoint share.
Okay, now I see.
Now? Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna make this a slideshow so you can see the whole wheel from the beginning. Okay.
Sounds
okay.
Good.
So thank you so much for allowing me to make this presentation. And I'm gonna try to minimize this box with our pictures in it after I take. You mind if I just take one picture?
Yes, yeah.
As work at home people, we are asked to document our efforts.
I understand.
I'll just take this one picture so that we can see you in it. Thank you.
No problem.
Much. Then I'm going to minimize this so we don't miss any of the slide itself. Try to move this. Okay, and I will go back to the beginning. Okay, so this particular set of pictures, one is at the Census Solutions Workshop, and these are some of your members there. Mm-hmm. And this one is at this was Creatives for the Count on the left and Census Solutions Workshop on the right. And I forgot to close this out so that we won't hear that noise. Hopefully you're still seeing my
I am, yeah.
Okay. So quick agenda. We will just share a little bit about what's happened nationally, and then the regional recap, which includes the 12 states within which Arizona has falls, and then what's next for 2021, and a little bit about our data services before we actually present the thank you certificate electronically, which then can be mailed to you along with some swag items. So nationally, we had a 67% response rate, which was above the projected response rate as well as above 2010. This was the first nationwide census that we allowed for online during the decennial. We had no downtime, no data breaches, and an average response time of just 9 minutes. How did people respond? Of course, thankfully, most people did take advantage of the internet response option, but we still had some people who mailed and a few who actually phoned in. For those who did not self-respond, of course, we had to do the non-response follow-up, which was 33% of US households, a little more for Arizona, which you'll see in a moment. But for 2020, we visited 64 million addresses and counted that amount of households with people in a 68-day period. That far exceeded the 2010 address count of 47.2 million done in a 69-day period. We also had to do some proxy counts, and proxy is where after the enumerator may have visited an address for 6 to 7 times, didn't get a response, they then went around to neighbors or to the landlord or to community management offices to find out who exactly lived there. And then we did use some administrative records. 13.9% was counted by administrative records, although that was well below what we projected that we would have to use. And these are records like
Ms. Scott?
Did we lose one another?
Yes, well, we're back on.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
Did you hear the non-response follow-up piece?
I did, yes, yeah.
Okay, I am so sorry. I don't know how that happened or what happened there. Well, let's go back then to that slide. Can you see that non-response follow-up?
I can, yes.
Okay, and you heard about the proxy and administrative records use?
I did, yes.
Okay, great. That's an important piece because people need to understand that because this is a mandatory count, sometimes we have to expand the count that we can get in person or online by going through this statistical process with records or with visits and triangulate. These are statisticians, so they're using these formulas that have been developed over decades to get the information correct. So here's the national recap on special operations, which includes things like group quarters, targeted non-sheltered outdoor locations, which would be your homeless facilities, as well as people sleeping out on the street, unfortunately, or in tents. And then service-based enumeration, which are places like soup kitchens or places where people go to services, like potentially mental health clinics, where they do not have another place to stay. So you can see in all three of the special operations, we outpaced our 2010 counts. And that could be good, but in other cases, we leave it up to the people who are using the data to determine what that means for the specific count they're looking at. So this is the Denver-Dallas region where Arizona is included. We had 313 partnership specialists. We had about 25 in Arizona. We had 48,000 enumerators in the region. About 13,000 plus were in Arizona. 50 area census offices, about 6 in Arizona, and we adapted to everything from protests to the pandemic. We actually were #1 in the world, you might remember, on pandemic back in the summer, of which we are again. So we made our way through all of that, kept going door to door, kept doing outreaches and what have you. And CAIR-Arizona was one of 67,000 plus national partners across the country. And because you do have a national connection, we are so grateful that we had you here in Arizona. You also were a member of one of over 1,200 complete count committees. And of course, CAIR-Arizona was an integral part of the One Arizona. But did you also have members on either the state committee or any of the city committees?
I believe we had people on the state committee as well.
Wonderful. So here's our state self-response rates. And if you go down about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 states, Arizona ranked 7th in the region at 64.1%. A little bit lower than the national average, but again, given some of the issues we have to deal with in this state, such as being a border state, having the world's highest rate of pandemic infection, also having quite a few communities where the first language is not English, we considered that self-response rate really quite good. And then we figured out the rest with going door to door, as well as administrative records and proxy. We did rank 32nd in the nation. And so you can see there some of the other rankings for other states within the region. So what's next for 2021? The population counts for the states are projected to be released in early 2021, as close to the statutory dates as possible. And that work is going on now to make sure the data is clean, to make sure that it is statistically correct. The statisticians in the Bureau are working diligently on that to make sure that what they release is an accurate census, as has been done in the past. The redistricting counts, which of course are used for the congressional redistricting, will be available in 2021. It's looking like April, but it may be sooner. And then we're also still doing something called Post-Enumeration Survey, or PES, where some people may receive a call asking them to give their responses for the 2020 census. This is not going to change the responses that we got in 2020, but it does give us a measure of both the quality of the census and also helps us understand where we may have undercounted or overcounted certain populations. That will go on through October of this year with a projected release date to be determined. Every month, we're continuing to do the American Community Survey. The data for 2015 through 2019, brand new 5-year data set, was just released last month, and we are going to be doing information sessions around how to use that data. And then we're also still hiring for field representatives, because every month we do 1 or more of 5 household surveys. The Household Pulse Survey, that one's actually going away at the end of January, and it's going to become part of our larger census COVID data hub. The American Community Survey, and that's the one that has all of the breakdowns by age, gender, ethnicity, veteran status, poverty levels, education levels, languages spoken in the home, different things like that, so that many grant writers use the ACS to tell the story of their community. We also do the current population survey, which state data centers use, the National Crime Victimization, as well as National Health Interview Survey. We have a data dissemination services program, and we will be doing some data summits a little later in the summer. The information sessions will talk specifically about American Community Survey. The data summits will drill down more into some of the other products that the Census Bureau produces. The Census Bureau produces over 100 surveys every year, and very interesting information that really helps people tell the story of their business, their political landscape, their population, their infrastructure, a lot of different things that are going on in any particular community across the country. So we want to say thank you for supporting the 2020 census, and I included some of the ways that you helped on this slide. Your participation was monumental because you are a trusted voice in your community, and you have helped shape the community for the next 10 years. You did that through leadership in One Arizona Census campaign, by promoting the 2020 census message on your website, on Facebook, and in social media, by participating in in-person census solution workshop, by participating in the Census Creators for the Count, by participating in virtual events, and by helping us make connections to other groups. So again, we want to say thank you for supporting the census. You may recognize some of the people in some of these pictures as your colleagues with CAIR. The virtual event is the one in the upper left. This is another virtual event at the lower left. This gentleman was actually connecting us with a larger refugee community. One Arizona, some of the census social media you used, your Facebook posts and website posts. I loved the one actually that talked about completing the census in the ease of your home. It was called Take a Census Break. And then of course the Census Solutions Workshop.
Yeah.
So this is the certificate that we would like to
Awesome.
present, Council on American Islamic Relations. Of course, we print that out, we put it in a certificate holder, and it reads as such: the U.S. Census Bureau recognizes Council on American Islamic Relations, Arizona, as an invaluable member of the 2020 Census Community Partnership and Engagement Program. We appreciate the efforts you made in making the partnership program a success and helping achieve a successful 2020 census. So thank you very much with that. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment to see if you have any questions or comments, and also to